We got an interesting one. I'm talking about the World's Industrial and Cotton Centennial Exposition. So I kind of came across this map because I was looking for more information about the World's Fairs, and I wanted to see if there was any maps in my library. So right now you're seeing the fourth floor, which is one floor above where I find all the maps. Seemed kind of vacant. Looks like not much is going on up here with the Rona. I actually had no idea this place even existed, but they've got like Picasso and a lot of interesting little books. But I was trying to view this World's Fair book that's held upstairs in the restricted section up here, but they were closed. So I'll try again this week. Try to get that book. It's from the 1800s, so they have to keep it behind closed doors. Alright, just the library. So yeah, here's the World Cotton and Industrial Centennial Exposition. As you can see, it was in New Orleans from 1884, and that's the Mexican Horticultural Octagon building that was there. But yeah, 1884, and supposedly it had to do with the production of cotton. And here you see a little tower. But a weird thing is, the Industrial Exposition, supposedly about the first shipment of cotton. Also, streetcars introduced,
so apparently
which is
the crew of Rex, which
is the founders of Mardi Gras, arrived at the expo aboard a yacht, and that established a tradition. Apparently, this started in 1872 with regards to the Grand Duke Alexei of Russia. Now, this is interesting because the crew of Rex means the crew of the king, and I don't know, we've seen in previous videos about Rex and Tartarex, but tying together Tartary and the Grand Duke of Russia is an interesting little point. So this is the Esplanade Monument, and if you look up the definition of Esplanade, it's an open level source separating a fortress from a town, which we will see in a couple seconds about the fortress factor of New Orleans. And these are just some of the expositions from around the world that they're showing off, and you can see how high-tech these look, how crazy. Like the Paris one looks like some type of like CERN reactor in here. And these like machinery halls, they all have very generic names. This horticulture one in the top right was at the New Orleans. It's the Philadelphia Exposition. It's the Mexican building in the right. So you just see the scale of some of these, and it does look like they were all kind of built around the same time. And then, so we started to look into John Olmstead, who was credited with these expositions, and these are just a small list of some of his feats, not to mention all the universities, all the parks, the expositions, all these universities. They got all these private colleges and parks, not to mention Central Park. So now it's founded on the Audubon Park. So most of the buildings were demolished except for the Horticultural Hall, which remained until the 1915 hurricane. So the only notable reminder of the fair to this day in the 21st century is a large iron ore rock from the Alabama State exhibit, which has been misidentified as a meteorite. And now I'm going to pull up a picture of what this exhibit looks like, or this rock, and what the fuck? Why would they leave this here? What happened to this rock? So naturally, this molten rock reminded me of a rock in my own city that looks like just like an out-of-place, like molten, melted rock. So I pulled that up right here, and it's apparently placed here by James H. Rogers. And there's very little information on this man or what this rock has to do with it. But one of the only James H. Rogers I could find was an organist. And I found another one who supposedly supplied like the brick for one of the older buildings in Milwaukee and its first lighthouse. So this molten rock is pictured at the foot of Robert Burns statue, and it's right next to Cleopatra's Wedge in this very strange park called Burns Commons. Very rarely do I ever see anybody here, and this is what the dude looks like. So I don't know, just kind of a weird little rabbit hole that I found myself going down. Alright, y'all, so here's that big-ass map showing the exposition and the plan of the city of New Orleans. some great detail here. This is a really nice map. It's made of cotton, I think, from 1884, I believe. So this is supposedly what it looked like in 1719. And then here we see, what do you know? A little star fortage going on here. As with most cities, you see this star fort building. And I tried to line it up on Google Maps, but I think after the hurricanes you can't really see much. But you can see the basic outline of these star forts. Now, these are always labeled as like a plan, implying that this isn't actually how it looked. But I don't know. It's kind of weird. This one is from 1765, so the dates on these are all differing. But it looks like New Orleans must have been a star fort at some point, and now this is in 1770, and another plan, you know. But you can still see this basic street outline in New Orleans today. Apparently, it says the whole enceinte of town was made of stockades, with a banquet within and a very trifling ditch without. So yeah, this is just more detail. It seems like a slightly altered rendition of the other map. But the main star fortage still the same. Things are labeled slightly differently, but for the most part it's all the same. There's that trifling ditch without, so it's like copied straight from the other map, or vice versa. You see number 12 is the guardhouse. What's number 7? The arsenal for boats. Yeah, so they say something about the streets are now called Rampart, Custom House, and Barracks were laid out as marked on this plan, but no names at the time, 1770 by Captain Pittman of the British Army. So now this is the good stuff. So this is the World's Industrial and Cotton Centennial Exposition. What a name. And you can just see this campus is vast and massive, fully built out. Just the most obnoxious size of a building you could have imagined. Like, who's building that? So now, yeah, just look at that. So look at all the antennas and the flagpoles and whatever. So now I did find this book that I thought was very perplexing, and it was like a practical common sense guidebook to the World's Cotton and Centennial Exposition. And now the interesting thing is the smallest building here is the factories and mills devoted to exhibits of cotton. So it's only 350 by 150 feet compared to the main building, which is 33 acres. So I don't know, dude. It just seems weird. Why would you make your feature building the smallest one? So yeah, here's just kind of showing you what it looks like today, and that whole spiral pattern. It's almost like they drew it out with like a square and compass. Very kind of... I don't want to say Masonic, but they definitely like laid out this city with great thought beforehand with this like a square and compass. This is Audubon Park today with all these scars all over. So yeah, just giving you some close-up of these streets. I've never been to New Orleans, but you can see some of these blocks just do not look practical. It's like somebody just drew it out on a map and didn't think about how tiny some of these blocks would be, because in modern day, a lot of those really tiny squares either just got consolidated into one block or, yeah, so fairgrounds, I don't know what fair was going on there, but it wasn't the World's Cotton Centennial Exposition, I'll tell you that much. So here's a cemetery. This is like the northern port of New Orleans, and you can see a lot of this is just kind of just blank or just barely filled in. So yeah, steam line railway. Yep. So pretty detailed map. Yeah, I haven't really compared too much of this northern part with what present day looks like. I think a lot of this kind of got just built over because it's 100 years ago. Pretty sophisticated for the 1800s. A lot going on. A lot of streets, a lot of blocks, and it just seems like not the most intuitive layout of a city. And here you go, some more detail. Oh yeah. So you can see the Paris Exposition map under that one, but we'll talk about that on another day. Here's just some more detail if you wanted it from a different view. So this is looking east, I think, or west, I mean. And yeah, so this is where on the river it is. And then here's showing you the fabric. It's like a cotton material. Just to show you the weight of it, there it is. It's pretty pretty thick for a map. I've handled a lot of maps in my day, and this one has a very nice texture. So now here's the insides of some of these buildings. So this is the horticultural hall, I think, and you can just see these weird businessmen. So this is the building that lasted until 1915. This huge like Tesla tower on top, very strange. And this is another, I think this is supposedly a construction photo or something, but a picture of a guy taking a picture. Look at all too much art. Look at all that art. Like, they don't even have enough wall space for all these paintings, all these sculptures, supposedly for the Mexican exhibit. What? Like, why would you? So it just seems like they like stole all this art and just tried to like display it. I don't know. And then this is supposedly a construction picture. There's just like a bunch of shit piled up. I mean, it looks like it's already constructed, and they're just kind of like digging this shit out. And this is what it looks like today, just swampland, you know. So yeah, very weird. So yeah, I was able to find this alley of oaks, and then look at this government state building. Look at that antenna over here on the left. What the fuck is that orb at the top? I've never seen anything like that. You see all these like big towers on the right. And yeah, this building looks pretty much done. And this is supposedly a construction picture. Look at this torn up field. I don't know what the fuck happened, just a bunch of mud. So then north of Audubon Park is present-day Gimbal Fountain, and I noticed this, which is Buffalo Soldiers with the star fort behind it. Very interesting. Horse, bow and arrow feathered. And yeah, so this is Gimbal Fountain. This is going to go weird here in a second, people. This is Gimbal Fountain. You can see the spires in the background. This is at the north end of Audubon Park today. Okay, we'll tack back in there in a second. You see that huge organ? Apparently it was the biggest in the world at the time, in this huge, massive structure. Alright, this is the ceremonies for it. You see some type of like coronation top left, but just an ultra massive organ. We know the organ kind of fits into this somehow, maybe as like a cymatic generator, and all these skylights. Largest in the world, look at that. Electric chandeliers in the 1800s. So we could only imagine what that would feel like to be in that. And this is what it looks like, the Mexican section of the exposition. Jesus. I've never known America to be this splendid to Mexico. Just look at all that detail and just how much it would take for this exposition. Like, it would be one thing if they made a killing off of this, right? And it was the only one in the world, and they were doing it one time only. But what we're seeing is this is everywhere, and they all have the same kind of pattern here. So now this is apparently like made of like 80,000 spools of thread or something. I don't know, just like random shit. Like, it just seems so unnecessary. We see this dragon up here. What is going on with this dragon, dude? We see a flag with a dragon on it. Supposedly this is like the Japanese exhibit, I think. And they had free tea. Whoopee. Yeah, just a weird little detail. Now, of course, Edison comes into play. Who would have thunk? The largest isolated incandescent light bulb. Okay, great. We got Edison in here. Shady dude. We've got all these trains on here. Now look at how strong must the floor have been to have all of these steam engines. That's a good fucking point. So if this is a temporary structure they're building, why would you put all these goddamn trains in here? And this is just amazing. We see corn is king for the Nebraska building with the Freemason compass, the pentagram, and some king in the middle. This is the Kansas exhibition. It's probably the most elaborate thing Kansas has ever done in its life. Mississippi. Just like all of this. And there wasn't even that many people that went to this event. And this is what it looks like today. A golf course, of course. And this is the jogging path with that Mexican building. The octagonal building, we see these all over. That very specific, like, octagonal dome at the top. And just some more detail of this. Seeming kind of odd to put it right here. Seems like kind of an unnecessary thing if you've got like a 40-acre building to the next door to you, but I'm not calling the shots here. Like, just imagine how long this would have taken to build just a whole city, just built in a year, you know? Come on, dude. You know how long it takes me to fucking build a shed? It takes me about that long. So I don't know where they're getting all these materials, but apparently Audubon Zoo is part of this. This is like a little music hall, I think, that was donated in the 1900s. But this is what it looks like now, people. They just tore everything down. So now if you go north of Audubon Park, you find these universities with these crazy details. Look at this structure, just massive brickwork. Just very Tartarian V. And yeah, you could just see this all over the place. Just seems kind of out of place, but I mean, you can see these buildings in Russia and America. So now this is Gimbal Fountain once again. This is to the very north of Audubon Park. And it's directly related to the Bryant Gumbel family, coincidentally, okay, because he was from New Orleans, as you can see here. He's a broadcaster, born in New Orleans, and so it's just weird. And then Isidore Conti was the sculpture for this fountain of air and water. And here it is in different detail. Isidore Conti is known for the World's Fairs. Supposedly, he built all those sculptures. And this is the detail of it, merging of the air and the water, or something. And Audubon Park, plantation owners, James Audubon. Yeah, there's this little baby on a turtle, which is a weird little metaphor. And then this is the New Orleans Orpheum Theater, showing these crazy, like, ancient Greek kind of depictions. We see Orpheum theaters all over the world. And then this is the Museum of the Civil War with this red brick detailing right next to this weird sculpture, which is kind of similar to how New Orleans is actually laid out, like the square and compass with the circle kind of extrapolating outwards. And I just thought this was kind of an interesting little detail, because these kind of buildings with those weird spires on top are found all over. Okay, and I'll kind of zoom out and show you the perspective I'm speaking of with that circle and compass. You see, it kind of already leads to like right over here, which is like Xavier University, I believe. This is like the center of the circle, from which they kind of built out the university, or the whole city, I should say, or at least drew it out on paper. So yeah, just a lot of weirdness going on here, guys. There's Audubon Park. We see these like 4 baseball fields, which, if you're familiar with Michael Wan's work on the Susquehanna alchemy and baseball as a metaphor and whatever, something about the river has a lot to do with it. But yeah, so this is the Louisiana Old State Capitol in 1882. Look at those huge batteries at the top of the towers, or whatever's going on there. This is what it looks like inside, like some type of cymatic, harmonic, resonant frequency emitter. And this is what it looks like. You can't really get too deep in there on Google Maps, but I did my best. But yeah, just massive doorways, of course, because you need to be 12 feet tall to go in here. And so this is what it looked like in 1882. And of course, it looks different now, because they've got like a new exterior and all that. They took the batteries off the top, and there's this weird light pole or flagpole out over here in the front yard of it. Looks very strange. This is the view from the top. I think this is the old state capitol, maybe the new one, but this is what it looks like. And you can see on the inside these like old, like Renaissance depictions of, I don't know, the Last Supper or what is going on here, but it seems to have this like crazy light fixture, as well as this like black granite with the sun in the top, and this guy holding 2 fires standing above all the people. And this is, of course, the entrance. Very psychedelic, very trippy. And then you can see these like ancient Anunnaki depictions on it. And this is the new state capitol, and look how tiny that dude is compared to even these little writings. And this is the king with the people carrying him, and then this is what the queen in distress or something with the people carrying them, whatever that means. And then look how tall this goes. But of course they have these like statues carved in them. And yeah, just a super massive building. Yeah, it seems like a lot of concrete, a lot of effort. And this is the promenade looking out. And then just a little bonus. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. This is somewhere in Audubon Park. Somebody took one of these like 360 pictures with all their friends, and they just are in different poses, acting all funny. So thanks for chilling, guys. I know this was a long one, so if you made it all the way here, you're a real one. I hope your Christmas was beautiful. And yeah, the next video I think is going to be on the Paris 1889 exposition, although I do have a very interesting view of the Chicago World's Fair. It looks like it was from a plane or a hot air balloon with some interesting... Here's that layout showing you the sizes of different buildings at the exposition. And for one more bonus, we are going to show you some clip from X-Files, which shows a little kid destroying a star fort that he calls a spaceship. Notice how it's in the same exact pattern as these star forts. I've never seen a UFO laid out in this like star fort pattern, so I just thought that was interesting. I've never seen that before. So maybe the star forts are some kind of spaceship technology, and like the kid destroying it is, I don't know. Somebody help me break that one down.